and I guess this first segment is going to be mildly controversial. This isn't anything I haven't talked about before, but it's something that I know has to set in for a lot of people considering the times. Now, I know you guys, well, maybe you don't. There was a dispute that happened. You know, I kind of chimed in on this as well, which turned into a big powwow on Twitter between Jack Murphy and, of course, Tim Pool when Jack went on Tim's show. And there was this topic of conversation around mandates and, you know, Jack's kids playing sports and all of that. And that turned into a very divisive topic. But what that more so stems from is really, I guess, it's representative of this entire issue that we're dealing with right now. And that's a bunch of people trying to force people to do things otherwise they would not do. That's really what this boils down to. And I know a lot of people have accepted that this stuff does not end until, and I talked about this yesterday on yesterday's show, that's episode 252 of For Cannon's Sake. But this is not end until there is some sort of mass non-compliance. I've been saying that forever. But I think a lot more people realize it now in this day and age. But the unfortunate thing is that a lot of people that would then say that were then, when met with, okay, lands on their doorstep. That's kind of what happened with Jack, where Jack would, you know, tell people, or he told one person, hey, that was having a kid wear masks that they're supporting basically or reaffirming was this fascist kind of deal that we got going. And then they landed on his doorstep and then he kind of pivoted. And I think that's what's happening with a lot of people is that we talk this good game. And then once you get met with that adversity, right, where it's like, okay, it's a fork in the road. You can do what they tell you to do and potentially be able to get on with your life, which is the promise that a lot of people accept. Or you can hold that line and be part of the solution is more so what it is. And that requires some people to become uncomfortable, but somebody has to do it, right? See, if we make exceptions, and I'm not saying that they aren't there. I'm not going to pretend like there isn't any sort of nuance involved in a given situation to where some of you guys, for example, have jobs and you don't want to get rid of and you end up getting jabbed because of that, even though you didn't want to. Or whatever it is, you know, and obviously once that happens, you do understand, and it's not do understand, it's just human nature. You become less of, and that's why they coerce you into doing it, because now you become more their foot soldier, or at minimum, you're not fighting against them, right? Because you're like, yeah, I might not agree with all of this, but I'm getting the promise of the societal benefits going into the future. But you do understand that complacency, the comfort, right, level, which is what people are going, that's the direction they're going in, like what's the most comfortable, is what got us in this situation, okay? Well, we're talking about mandates and all of that. At some point, there's going to have to be a line that is held, and some people are going to be able to maintain some sort of stability more than others. I, like myself, am going to be one of those, right? Because I don't work for anybody. And, you know, what I do is I'm paying myself. So there's not going to be any instance where I have to work for someone and they're going to be requiring me to do the jab, unless you want to consider like maybe there being some venue issues with my band when we get back on the road, which, yeah, you know, that's going to happen. But I just refuse to play at a place that will require vaccine. Proof of vaccinations or something like that, or mandates. I just refuse to perform at a venue that would do that. So yeah, I may miss out on a little money, but I have multiple revenue streams and I'm going to generally be fine by holding off and saying, you know what, no. But a lot of people, definitely on the Twitterverse and the internet, the social media, talks the good game until the game lands on the doorstep and that fork happens and they take the easy route. But the harsh reality is that that's not going to get us on the other side of this. That it isn't. So I know that almost every individual that gets coerced into do it thinks that they had no other, and that's, you know, maybe true or not, but they look at it like I had no other choice, right? I love my job, whatever it is. If I was going to stay in this industry, I had to do this. But understand that by not holding line, some people have, right? You see first line, like frontline workers getting fired, right? They said, fuck it, I'm not doing it. I was watching even some of all people, an indoctrinator over at UCLA saw a video today. He was escorted out of the building because he refused. He was like anesthesiologist, if I'm not mistaken, from UCLA, and he was being escorted, of course, by campus security or whatever, despite being there, because he was not only not going to get it, and but he also wasn't going to try to get an exemption either. So he was looking at it like, I might lose everything, but I'm okay with that. That guy right there is more ballsy than a lot of people will give them credit for. And he's actually part of the solution. And that's the part where the uncomfortable situation with like Jack and the Tim thing happened, because some people are like, well, it's kids, or we have this parent, which got brought up after the fact. That was a disingenuous part. And I've talked about that. I'm not going to rant and rave about it again. But the disingenuous part was Jack bringing up well after the fact that there was a custody issue that was going to be taking place that was not provided. At first, it was about, the great things that sports could provide for his child. And then it became about other things. But those sacrifices are what's going to have to be made. And it's not just with this issue, to be fair, because if anything, this issue showed you that they can do a lot of crazy shit and get away with it, so as long as they promise some sort of coercion. So this is just you showing them that, okay, when the next subject matter comes, they get to do it again. I think we're going in the direction of climate change. I think that's going to be the next issue, where you have people in powerful positions that are then trying to coerce their subjects, whether it be their employees, patrons, whatever, into doing what they want them to do. So I think we're going to revisit this again. But the harsh reality is that some people are going to have to sacrifice comfort for the sake of holding the line and actually stopping this growth of tyranny. Now, some people are more willing to do it than others. And everybody's going to be the exception, or think that they're the exception, because it's not that easy. That's what everybody says, right? It's not that simple. And I get it. It's not that simple. Nobody said that it was, right? Nobody suggested that it was that simple or that it was going to be easy. However, and then this isn't me telling you to do something or not doing it. I'm just telling you the reality of the situation. More people that fold, the worse this gets. That's just what it is. And a lot of people don't want to accept that. But I mean, we have to have an honest discussion about it, man. We have to have an honest conversation about getting us on the other side of this and working towards a more freer, more prosperous culture. And that does not happen if there is a constant leeway, because people are valuing comfort. And that's what the part that was controversial. But Tim was right. You can hate Tim. I went on Tim's show and disagreed with Tim. So it ain't nothing about me, some allegiance there, right? I went there and had went back to my roads, and I thought Tim and it was wrong on this subject matter, but he was right at least on this, and that some people value what the system itself has promised them over sovereignty. That's a controversial statement, but it's damn true. In the words of Kurt Angle, it's true. It's damn true. It's uncomfortable, and it puts a lot of people under fire, and a lot of people have to look themselves in the mirror and say, am I being part of the solution or part of the problem? But he's right. Some people do value that system over and what it promises, whether it be scholarships for your children in that case, or in another case, money in terms of your job, or comfort, whatever, pension, or whatever thing that you were promised if you stayed in your job. You value what they promised you over individual sovereignty. And that sounds harsh, but it's true. See, I'm not saying this to get on people that have succumbed or had to give in or thought that they had to give in to the demands of tyrants. That's what makes them tyrants. That's what makes it coercion. That's what makes it extortion. What I'm saying is the reality, and that a lot of people are being part of the problem when they have crossed into that territory. That's not to demonize you. That's just to have you accept reality so that then we can come up with creative ways to combat this. But giving in is what got us in this whole situation. Where there's a bunch of people, it started with 2 weeks to flatten the curve. And even a lot of conservatives agree with that because they were scared of shit. And I was the guy telling you guys, if you give them this inch, they're going to take a mile, because what you have done is you have showed them all they had to do was conjure up an emergency, and then they could take away, or rather impede upon, every bit of God-given freedom that you had. I want you to be a part of the solution. And I'm not acting like I'm perfect in this instance either. But I'm saying I want you to be part of the solution. But that requires a lot of folks to have to look in the mirror and accept the harsh reality that maybe you are, and maybe even giving in to these guys' demands, you're being part of the problem and not part of the solution. It sucks because some of you, your family members, have to say, damn. And I've had emails, to be fair, people that are like, man, look, man, I regret it, but I got it. You know, I didn't want it. It was against my better judgment, but I was being coerced and all. And I get that, because standing and looking in the eyes of the enemy and saying, go fuck yourself is not, it's fun to say, but it's a lot more difficult to actually do it. It is, because that may come with its sets of problems. I've dealt with this issue in almost every industry that I'm in, and have been from a career standpoint, because of the nature of like authoritarian leftists basically being in control of it, like us with music and metalcore. I've dealt with that. I've dealt with the ostracism. I've dealt with, us outselling people, and then some baby band, because he's, says the right things or knows the right people, they will get more preferential treatment, if you will. That comes with the territory. But I'd rather be part of the solution to fixing that, as opposed to just giving in them. And like, in that case, it'd be more of a selling of a soul. I want to win. I want liberty to win. It's more so what I say. I want to win. That's what I want. I want liberty to win. And I think it can win, but it's going to require a lot of people who throw out those catchphrases, those slogans. We will not comply. Don't tread on me, to actually start to extend those to their logical conclusion, which will require you, myself, and other people to hold the line and tell these guys to go fuck themselves. So I want you to be part of the problem. Or no, excuse me. I don't want you to be part of the problem. I want you to be part of the solution. But a lot of people are being part of the problem, and they just don't want to realize it. You just watched a clip from my podcast, For Canon's Sake. Catch us live at 12 p.m. throughout the week over at youtube.com/YoungRipper59, and follow us over at odyssey.com/@YoungRipper59. If you want to watch the entire video cast after the show is over, just be sure to become a member on the YouTube channel. Of course, the full audio portion of the podcast is available for free on all major digital platforms, or just visit forcanonsake.com.